Hello, Criminal Justice Administration students at Hudson Valley. We are now moving forward into Module 8, which covers topics on court administration. We will look at the last two chapters on this topic during this week. We'll look at Chapter 8 and Chapter 9. Chapter 8 basically addresses court personnel, roles, and functions. And it begins by looking at the role of the judge as the ultimate court administrator and looks at important topics related to judicial selection. Judicial selection is very different in the federal courts. All of that is done by appointment through nomination by the president and approval by Congress, and they have lifetime appointments. But the 50 states have a wide variety of approaches for the selection of judges. The one we're most familiar with in New York State is the election of judges, although some of our judges, those at the appeals level, including the appellate courts and the highest court, the Court of Appeals, are actually selected through a gubernatorial panel that nominates, and then they are approved by the legislature. So they're at the trial court level, they are elected, and at the appellate level, they are selected. A blended model is used in many other states. The process of selection in other states, it uses a wide variety of tools, and I want you to read about that in this chapter. And then there are some states that are completely through a selection process, no election, and some that are completely through an electoral process. There's also an approach in which judges are selected initially through election, and then they are reappointed through a selection process. So there are a lot of different ways that judges can get to the bench. Along with a review of judicial selection, we also look at the roles of the key court administrators in the non-judicial area. Mainly, these are individuals who occupy titles in the court clerk series, or court clerks through basic entry-level court clerks all the way to the top managers of courts, which are generally chief clerks. In addition, in the more modernized court systems, there are positions of executive administration, where individuals are judicial administrators, but they are basically not court clerks. They oversee administration for a number of courts, and they're called judicial administrators or executive administrators or administrative assistants. They have many different titles. We use that approach here in New York State, and each of our judicial districts, which we have 12 judicial districts in New York State, has a separate chief court administrator who is a non-judicial person, non-judge person. Other issues or topics that are covered in this section are the importance of good judging, which you talked about in last week's discussion and in the assignment that you had. And also there's sections that talk about the importance of civility in the courtroom. In Chapter 9, we cover a variety of topics related to issues in the courtroom, and the issues of that are particularly important in the modern day court setting include court security and the evolution of courts into problem-solving programs, sometimes called problem-solving courts. For example, drug courts, mental health courts, domestic violence courts, and the newest type of problem-solving court, which is a program that helps veterans that's part of many court systems. I think you will enjoy both chapters, Chapter 8 and 9. Be aware that at the end of the activities, which is one case and one discussion for this week's module, there is another unit test. This unit test will be on the 3 chapters related to court administration. So enjoy the week ahead, your readings and your classroom activities, and I hope that you find this material on the court stimulating and interesting. One additional point is that problem-solving courts are very prolific. That means we have many of them in New York State, and I urge you to do a little online research to find out more about our problem-solving court system and court programs here in New York. Take care, be well.